Hello everyone, how you guys? ごめん皆さんご機嫌いかがでしょうか？今日も可能性無限大。This is TAROSAC ということで、今日の動画では外国人に日本の良くないと思うところを聞いてみたというテーマでやっていきたいと思います。この前どんな動画を撮ろうかなと思っていろいろYouTube で見ていたところ、結構ね、外国人が日本のいいところを語ってる動画って結構あるんですよね。日本は治安がいいとか、道が綺麗だとか、すごく見てて耳障りのいい動画なんですけど、片やあまりね、ネガティブなことを語っている動画っていうのがあまりなかったので、今日はね、そこをちょっと外国人に聞いていこうかなと思います。もちろんこれから実際にインタビューしていくにあたって、みんながみんなね、日本に行ったことがある人たちではないと思うので、あくまでイメージベースの話になるかもしれないんですけど、ただね、それもどういうイメージを持ってるのか、どういうネガティブなイメージを持ってるのかっていうのを知るっていうのも結構面白いんじゃないかなと思うので、今日はそんな感じでやっていきたいと思います。僕のチャンネルではこういった外国人のインタビュー動画ですとか、海外関連の役立ち情報を毎週配信してます。見るだけで頭の中がグローバル化すること間違いなし。面白いと思ってもらえたらぜひチャンネル登録よろしくお願いします。インスタグラムの方では役立つ新鮮な海外プチ情報からたまにね、インスタライブをやって視聴者さんと交流させていただいてますので、まだそちらもフォローしてないという方はぜひフォローよろしくお願いします。僕が住んでいるオーストラリアのシドニーがあるニューサウスウェールズ州は未だにね、ロックダウンの真っ只中なので、今日もね、僕が愛用しているオンライン英会話のCamblyで、実際にネイティブスピーカーにインタビューしていきます。またロックダウンが終わり次第実際に外に出て、いろんな人にね、インタビューしていくので、そちらも楽しみに待っててください。はい、ということで今日実はね、昨日ワクチンを打ってね、副作用ですごく体調が悪いんですけど、気合い入れてやっていきたいと思います。早速、行きましょう。Ari.
Yes, Ari. And your name?
TAROSAC.
TAROSAC. Nice to meet you.
You're from
No
New
problem.
Zealand?
Yeah, I am. But I'm originally Japanese ethnicity.
Are you?
Yeah, you may not believe me.
But do you speak Japanese though?
I don't. So my great-great-grandfather immigrated from Miyagi, Sendai,
Yeah.
to Dunedin, New Zealand. So I'm
Oh, really?
fifth generation Japanese.
Oh
So
my
I don't speak
God.
Japanese. My father doesn't speak Japanese. My grandfather speaks a little bit.
Okay.
So yeah, and I live in Thailand now.
Oh, you
So,
live in Thailand.
and where are you from, TAROSAC?
Me from Niigata, close to
Niigata.
Miyagi actually.
Ah, cool. Yeah.
Niigata is
And
up in north on the west coast.
northwest on the
North,
opposite side.
yeah, northwest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. And
Yeah.
I hear an Australian accent.
Oh yeah, I live
Is
in
that right?
Australia.
Yeah. Whereabouts?
Sydney.
In Sydney. Okay, cool. You
Yeah.
guys are in lockdown now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty
Gosh.
hard.
How's the
Pretty boring.
lockdown life treating you?
It's not good, mate. It's not
Okay.
really good.
Yeah.
Just looks like a never ending, you know.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if it's appropriate to say, but it's very interesting to see a Japanese man, and you look Japanese
Yeah,
person
absolutely. Yeah.
speaking English with a New Zealand accent.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I completely relate to the experience because one of my students, she lives in Brazil.
Yeah,
She's 100% Japanese as well.
yeah.
I think she's fifth or fourth generation.
In Brazil?
In Brazil, yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't
understand.
speak English, doesn't speak Japanese, just Portuguese.
Just Portuguese, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought it was amazing. Yeah, we're everywhere.
Heaps
you know?
heaps of Japanese people in Brazil.
Yes, a lot.
Yeah.
So I've heard. Yeah, she said there's a big Japanese community there.
Community, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been to Japan, Ari?
Yeah, I've been a few times.
Few times.
A few times. Actually, I've been about 5 or 6 times.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I think I have questions. I have some questions today, and I think you're the perfect person to ask these questions.
Please, yeah, fire away. Let me know what questions.
So I was watching YouTube videos the other day, and I found videos where non-Japanese people talking about something positive about Japan. You know,
Sure.
what they like about Japan, what kind of ideas, images they have about Japan, and stuff like this. So I want to ask you something like this, but
yeah, absolutely, please.
Which part of Japan is your favorite?
Yeah, I'm gonna say Hokkaido.
Oh, Hokkaido.
Yeah.
Amazing food, I guess.
Yeah, good food and just beautiful scenery.
I actually never been there.
Oh, really?
No.
And I love the climate in Hokkaido as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too keen on super hot weather.
Yeah, not too extreme there.
Yeah. So it was just a nice mild temperature. I heard it gets very cold in winter though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Lots of snows.
Definitely, yeah.
You know lots about Japan, eh?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah,
So Hokkaido, I like Tokyo as well. Beautiful
Tokyo, yeah,
city, big city.
yeah.
And Osaka as well.
Osaka, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Osaka food
But I
is
would say
also pretty good.
very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would say Hokkaido probably my favorite place in
Yeah,
Japan.
lots of my friends say that too. Do
Yeah.
you know any like famous Japanese person? Can be a politician, can be athlete or
Yeah.
artist.
Naomi Osaka,
Oh yeah, the
the
tennis player.
tennis player.
Yeah. Is she very
Uh,
famous in New Zealand too?
yeah, she's pretty famous, and
Yeah.
in Thailand as well.
Oh really?
Yeah. A lot of the Japanese rugby players. I played a bit of rugby growing up, so I was a big fan of Fumiaki Tanaka.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of Japanese rugby players that I'm very proud of. And there was a guy this year played for the Japanese team, but went down to New Zealand to play
Yeah.
rugby.
Oh,
And his name Kazuki Himeno.
okay.
Yeah, I think he'll be the next captain of the Japanese rugby team.
You definitely know about Japanese rugby more than I do.
Yeah, I love it. I think
Yeah.
Japanese rugby is amazing.
So today's main question is going to be like this. So like I
Uh-huh.
said, I've seen many videos where people talk about something positive about Japan,
Yeah.
but you're Japanese, you're from New
Uh-huh.
Zealand, and you lived in New Zealand and Thailand, and you also
Yeah.
went to Japan for holiday.
Uh-huh.
If you can think of anything negative about Japan, a negative image or negative experience,
Negative experience
yeah,
about Japan.
what can they be? If you can compare to society in New Zealand as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I don't know if it's a negative thing, but I know the Japanese culture is very, very respectful.
Respectful, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel in some ways maybe it's almost too respectful
Yeah, I think
to
so
the
too.
point that someone from, especially if it's like a multinational company,
Yeah.
someone from another culture may take advantage of the Japanese culture, which is just to say yes to everything and to agree to everything, which I think leads to a lot of overtime work
Yeah.
for Japanese
Oh, right.
professionals. So I think that would be a negative that I have noticed. Even
That
though
is
the
very true,
culture
I think.
very respectful, but I've just noticed almost too respectful, and then they're the ones having to suffer and go through it.
That's true. If someone come from, let's say, from a Western country and a really strong businessman and very smart enough to take advantage from that,
Yes,
they can
exactly that.
sometimes take yeah.
Yeah, and it's the Japanese professional that ends up having to do the overtime or do the extra work, which I think kind of has an improper work-life balance, I think.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
true.
that's just my own personal observation.
Did you find anything like causes you trouble, or did you suffer from anything when you traveled to Japan?
You know what's interesting? Because I look Japanese,
Yeah.
everyone spoke to me in Japanese. And I don't know. I know like very basic like konnichiwa and very just basic greetings, but I
Yeah.
was very embarrassed that I didn't have enough Japanese to speak back to them.
And then they're like, "Oh, I thought you were
They're shocked,
Japanese."
and it's very hard to explain, especially when someone's English is not at a high level.
Yeah.
So a lot of people may have thought I was being rude.
Yeah, I
Which,
reckon 1 in 10 or 1 in 100 might thought this guy's just making fun of me, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why. But yeah, that's the only trouble I guess I've really had in Japan.
Okay, that's very interesting to know. And then I was pretty sure that you're a perfect person to ask these kind of questions. So I think,
Yeah, brilliant.
yeah, I got the really good answers from you. Well, thank you very
Fantastic.
much.
My pleasure. Absolutely.
Hello.
Well, hello, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Not bad.
What's your name?
TAROSAC.
TAROSAC. Nice to meet you.
Today I've been asking people about Japan. So have you been to Japan before?
No, I haven't.
Okay. The other day I was watching YouTube videos and I found videos where people talk, non-Japanese people talk about Japan. That's something positive, you know, what they like about Japan or what kind of positive image they have about Japan. So today it's very random, but I want to ask native speakers on Cambly what kind of negative image you can think of about Japan. Do you have any like something negative about Japan?
Well, not really. I guess everything I have experienced or heard has been like super positive. Like my mum is learning Japanese, and she
Really?
just like loves putting the TV on the like Japanese news channel with all the like documentaries. So like I've experienced like a lot of positive images of Japan.
Okay.
I guess this one is not negative, but just from experience of teaching
Yeah.
people on Cambly, I have just have the image, or from people's experience, that it's quite a intensive work culture that is.
Oh, oh, you talked to Japanese people and then you heard something about their like a lot of work,
Yeah,
a
like
lot of things
yeah,
about work.
quite an intense
Yeah.
work culture, and
That's what I
people.
felt when I came to Australia. Like we have 1 hour in Japan, 1 hour in Australia to work. In Australia, it's like a pretty easy going, not too
Mm,
much. But in Japan, I used to work in the real estate. Like
mm,
in the morning, my boss gave me a task, and then straight away I can like think, oh man, like I'm not gonna be able to finish. This is too much, like
mm,
too much
mm.
pressures and too much laws and tasks to finish.
It seems, yeah, very, very intense, and yeah, I've just, yeah, from what I've heard, especially some people of the sort of younger generation, find it quite hard to have like a work life balance. But
True.
that's the only, you know, thing that I have heard. It's very hard to come up with anything negative, to be
That is
honest.
true. I mean, that is interesting to know that, one Australian lady knows about, the Japanese working culture, because it's
Mm,
very true that sometimes when I used to work in Japan, I kind of like, I was lost. Like, I was not sure if I'm like working for life or if I'm like living for work, you know,
mm,
like I was not
mm,
too sure what am I doing. And then I'm pretty sure many people think in that way too, because of like
mm,
you said, because the balance is a bit the too much for work. So
mm. And a lot of expectations and pressure.
yeah,
Um, I'm not sure if this is the case, but it seems like it maybe is very competitive to get into a university or a job that you like. There's like you're up against a lot of other people.
very true.
So already from like a young age, it's quite a lot of pressure. But some other people would say that it's discipline, which I also agree with. I find it amazing that so many students, especially very young students, are so disciplined with their work. So I guess it's a double-edged sword. It's amazing that people can be so disciplined and have such a hard work ethic. But
Yeah,
I guess on the other side, some people I've spoken to have struggled quite a bit with the pressure.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. And it
yeah,
affects mental health as well.
mental health, yes,
Yeah,
definitely. Do
that is.
you do you think in Japan there's a lot of like dialogue around mental health and work, or it's not talked about so much?
It's not talked about. I did a research before that most of the in a workplace, most of the staffs say nothing when they see someone struggling with the mental health in the workplace.
Ah, okay. So even when people, say something, there's normally nothing changes. There's
Still, there's a like old thinking about mental health. It's like if you're struggling with the mental health, it's like you are weak.
yeah, okay.
Not treating like mental health, but you're just weak person or something like this.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and you're like, I guess like a lot of the older generation in general, like my grandfather was very much like about endurance, and no
Yeah,
matter what came up in your life, you have to always be proper, and there's a certain way to be, there's a proper way to be,
yeah,
and no matter what happens, you have to sort of always stick to that standard.
yeah. And it's
Um,
still there in Japan, I think.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
No worries. Just want to emphasize though that like there's pretty much nothing negative. Like that's the only thing that
Yeah,
comes
yeah,
to
yeah.
mind. But
I know.
yeah, very nice to meet you, TAROSAC.
Very nice to meet you. Oh, hello.
How are you?
Not bad. Annie?
Good. Annie, yes.
Annie, nice to meet you. Today I have a question ready for you. Have you been to Japan before?
I've never been, no, but I definitely want to go. Oh, I mean, I want to go obviously to Tokyo and stuff, but I also want to go to Kyoto because I know it's more historical.
Oh, Kyoto's amazing.
Yeah, I've heard that before. So whenever
like-
I do end up going, I want to go there.
It's a very random question, but do you know any Japanese person?
Well, Japanese athletes, I can't remember his name anymore, but when I was a kid, there was a really famous baseball player. That
Ichiro.
used yeah, probably. I know that I remember there was, I'm sorry, I don't remember the name, but I
Yeah,
remember there was a very famous Japanese baseball player. And I mean, nowadays with Netflix, like Marie Kondo, do you know her?
I have no idea.
So she's basically an interior designer. But
wow.
she has a show on Netflix where she helps reorganize your home.
Yeah, okay.
It was very famous, at least in Canada.
I know.
But she's Japanese.
She's probably
And
one of
then
the most famous Japanese in Canada then.
she is, yeah, no, she was very big in the United States too. Like,
Okay.
I don't know if she was big in Europe, but when she became very famous, I was in Canada, so I remember that. That was just like 3 years ago or so.
Okay. I'm actually very interested in a negative image people have about Japan. Do you have something like you can maybe think of something negative about
All
it?
right, yeah. I mean, in regards to Japan, I mean, like, I have very positive thoughts of Japan because I like a lot of the art, obviously, animation and
Yeah.
food. But one thing that I do sometimes encounter when I read about maybe it's the treatment of women.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, from what I understand, and from also what people from Japan have told me, like I have two good friends in Canada who are Japanese, and they tell me that there is still a lot of sexism. It's still very patriarchal.
If you compare to the Western world, yeah, I think so.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say that, I was like, well, like the Western world is still very patriarchal too, but from what they told me, there's still a lot of assumptions as to like what a woman should be. Yeah, so I think that's like the only thing that I can think of. Yeah,
It's really
right.
good to understand how foreign people, looking at Japan.
Mhm. Yeah, and that being said, that's like my point of view as a foreigner, but it's also from what like my friends told me about their experiences in Japan, right?
Yeah.
Because they are Japanese born and raised, and then
Yeah.
they moved to Canada later as adults, right? So I mean, like I think my thoughts of Japan are like overwhelmingly positive. But that is one thing that if I think about something negative, then I would be like, okay, well, from what I understand, the culture is still a little bit, I guess, maybe divided
Yeah,
in
divided.
that regard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your honest answer.
Yeah, no, happy to help. I mean,
Thank you
that was
very
an interesting question because it's true. It's hard to think of something negative.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
はい、ということで今回はネイティブスピーカーの皆さんに、日本の悪いと思うところについて、いろいろ聞いてきました。それにしてもいきなり日本の悪いところ何だと思いますかって言われても、普通はね、なかなか答えられないと思うんですよ。行ったことがないのであればなおさら。ただね、ああやってみんな、何かしらこう思いついて、話してくれたっていうのは、聞いておきながらあれなんですけど、すごいなと思いましたね。だって自分がカナダの悪いところ言ってくださいとか、カナダ人にインタビューされたりとか、ニュージーランドの悪いところ言ってくださいって言われたって、ないですけどってなっちゃうよね。ただポジティブな意見を言うのは簡単な中で、あえて、ネガティブな意見を引き出して、外国人がどういうふうに思ってるのかとか、聞いていくのって結構面白いなと思うので、実際にね、今後ロックダウンが明けたら、オーストラリアは日本行ったことある人結構多いので、日本行ったことある人に、実際どんなことに苦労したかとか、そういったところも今後聞いていきたいなと思います。ということで最後まで見てくれた皆さん、ありがとうございます。面白いと思ってもらえた方はチャンネル登録忘れずに、高評価も忘れずに、また次の動画でお会いしましょう。